at the Mayans' very profound connection to the stars. In the Mexican state of the Yucatan lie the ruins of the ancient Mayan city of Chichen Itza. Here, in the 10th century, the Maya built what has become known as the El Caracol Observatory.
It has 4 doors on the bottom that can be used as observation points, and it had a number of windows up on top. But most of those have fallen. We only have 2.5 of those left. But looking at those, we can see that they're definitely looking at the sun, probably at the moon. There are hints that they could have been using them for stars and planets.
They were tracking in particular Venus, the phases of the moon, eclipses. We know that because we have books that record these things.
Most researchers agree that from 250 to 900 AD, the Mayans were the most advanced astronomers of their time. But why were they observing the cosmos so intently? And what might they have been looking for?
The Maya were very sophisticated in terms of what they watched in the heavens and in the calendars that they kept track of. The ability to understand that Venus as morning star and Venus as evening star are the same star was very rarely done in the history of humankind. They were oftentimes seen as 2 different entities. The idea that they could predict the cycles of the heavens reflects their sophistication.
The Maya were one of the only ancient people that invented a mathematical system that we use, which is called place value and zero. And using place value and zero allows you to make enormous calculations, numbers that are very, very large. They could probably calculate things thousands of years into the past.
Did the Maya develop such mastery of astronomy and mathematics on their own? Or is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists believe, that the elite rulers of the Maya had received help from star travelers?
The Maya, for example, had the knowledge of the planet Venus surrounding our solar system in such a precise way that within 6,000 years, the difference was a few hours. Now, the Mayas itself did not live for 6,000 years. So they had no time, 6,000 years, to observe if their calculation concerning the Venus rotation is correct or not, because they had their information from their god.
The Mayans could not possibly have developed these systems on their own because it takes thousands, some of them tens of thousands of years of observation. So it is clear that they were given to them by aliens out there who have made contact with the Mayan people.
Perhaps the most intriguing astronomical accomplishment of the Maya concerns their understanding of the slow change in the Earth's rotational axis in space. Called precession, it's a process that takes more than 26,000 years to complete. But how could the Maya have tracked events over such an extreme time span? Is it possible that, like modern scientists, the Maya had been using knowledge of the Earth's movement in space to track time? And if so, for what purpose?
The Maya developed these time-keeping skills by monitoring the movements and predicting the movements of not just the sun, but the moon, Venus, in some cases Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, some other constellations.
Though most people consider the Egyptians as the ultimate pyramid builders, 10 times as many pyramids were constructed in Mesoamerica than in Egypt. But why did the Maya build so many of their monumental structures in absolute precise alignment with solar, lunar, and stellar events?
Well, it seems as if they were paranoid that if they did not do this, something bad would happen. They were on the 5th epoch, and each of these earlier epochs they believed had ended in catastrophe. And it seemed as if they had to synchronize their rituals, their events, their games, their activities with these specific celestial events, because if they didn't, something bad would happen and the epoch would end prematurely.
Mayans were absolutely convinced that timing was crucial because the stars were revealing when the gods were going to come back. And obviously that meant the gods were coming from the stars.
But where, or from whom, did the ancient Maya learn to accurately track time by tracing the celestial movements of our solar system and the universe beyond? Could the ancient Maya have actually conspired with extraterrestrial visitors to plan the future? And even the very end of our world? Perhaps a further examination of the infamous Mayan calendar and its so-called doomsday prophecy is required.
There are several legends in the Mayan world which suggest that this end day of the Mayan calendar in December 2012 is actually an apocalypse day. The Popol Vuh discusses it as a possible destruction of the planet. The Tortuguero monument, which is a site near Palenque, is the only inscription in stone that mentions the 2012 end day of the calendar, and that talks about 9 gods descending to Earth, but no one really knows exactly what that means. And some people suggest that may cause a cataclysm. Others suggest it may be a whole dawn of a new age, where we actually move into a more conscious way of life.
If the truth is that the Mayans were in contact with extraterrestrial beings, and now their calendar is ending on December 21st, 2012, this might be the return of the gods themselves, of the extraterrestrials coming back to Earth, to the Mayans, as they promised.
Given the sophistication of the Mayan calendar, is it really possible that the Maya could have accurately predicted the exact date of some sort of earth-changing event? Might such an event usher in a new era of human enlightenment? Or might it mark the end of mankind in the form of a cataclysmic doomsday? Perhaps only time will tell. A pattern of stars repeated in monuments throughout the ancient world.
It's a global phenomenon. There might be a celestial plan.
Coordinates for a celestial constellation mapped out 7,000 years ago in sand and stone.
The builders clearly possessed some advanced knowledge of the constellations.
And clues that long-lost civilizations may have had contact with travelers from this cluster of stars.
Orion is so important to all of these ancient civilizations. Somehow this is linked to where we came from and where we're going.
Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And if so, might they have left behind signs revealing mankind's ultimate destination in the constellation of Orion?